Would really like to thank Grace for being our tech person. Okay, Grace, you want to go to the next slide?
I think let's see if I can. There we go.
Okay. So our international president is Debbie LeBlanc, and she spoke with a group in Texas about the importance of membership. And so we invited her to come and talk with us here and highlight some of the things that International is doing. Debbie, would you like to take the?
Absolutely. Can you hear me? I am out in a small lobby of a hotel in Austin where I am participating in the Communications and Marketing Committee meeting, but I want to be sure you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So first of all, I just wanted to thank you for this invitation, and it's my honor to meet with you today. And I'm happy to talk with you about our membership and the importance of our membership and the activities that go along with that. So I'd like to begin with just saying to you that, like most, if not all of you, membership came to me by an invitation to join this organization. I was honored and thrilled to be asked, and I knew at my very first chapter meeting that I had found my home. As an educator, I am passionate about all aspects of education, and many of those are the key points of DKG. These include children and their families, teachers, curriculum, and policy. Our education today desperately needs DKG's support. In DKG, I learned that about so many different experiences related to each of these, which provided me opportunities for perspective and reflection. And as my growing involvement with the chapter offered multiple opportunities to give back to our community, so did the prospects for leadership. I was guided and encouraged by some of the best women in my chapter and my state to consider broadening my horizons. And like you, they saw something in me. So others saw something in you that I thought might be there, and they provided me opportunities to say yes. And I'm very, very glad that I did. My work in DKG, standing and working next to some of the smartest and most talented women in the world, prepared me to be a chapter and state president, a regional director, and now obviously in this role. And working at the international level literally fills my heart, my soul, and my brain with bliss. And I'm so energized after attending conferences and conventions that I can barely be contained. Sorry about that. I want to share everything I've learned with so many to help them understand the power and impact that DKG offers to my life. There are so many opportunities for professional and personal development, both in workshops and conversations with women from around the world. Along the way, like you, I have met women from all walks of life. I have learned and experienced a variety of customs related to education, language, and other cultural experiences that I would never have experienced if it was not for DKG. My love and support for this organization will never have an expiration date. I'm committed to helping us return to what we once were, vital and relevant, which leads to a strong, sustained, and valued organization. So let's talk about stewardship when we talk about this, that responsibility that comes with the joy of membership. What does that mean to our DKG as a society today? Well, first of all, as a member of DKG, each of us have several very important tasks that need to be understood and practiced. The first is to understand that this society is member-driven. And with that understanding comes the opportunities for each of us to be responsible and accountable for all that we represent. That means you celebrate all that is good in DKG. And when you see something that is not, you speak up. You've heard me say many more times than you probably care to count that we have tough times ahead of us. And as you know, Avenue M was hired to complete a comprehensive analysis of all of our working and governing documents, conduct interviews and surveys of members, including members who have dropped and women who have never been asked to be a member. The administrative board has received the final report from the Avenue M project, and in collaboration with the Membership and Expansion Committee is reviewing the results. The 103-page report includes an analysis of both qualitative and quantitative data, including member responses, an environmental scan of the education industry, current and historical information regarding our organization, and more. So after the final review by the administrative board during its November meeting, members can look forward to receiving greater detail about the report and recommendations for future action. Things will need to change because clearly what we are doing is not working as effectively as we wish. And this work will not be for the faint of heart. And during this 12-month implementation strategy, Avenue M will help the society evolve as needed to ensure it is best positioned for high levels of growth and engagement. I spoke earlier how much I love DKG, and I'm committed to our rebirth, so much that she's not going to die on my watch, and I hope not yours either. Stewardship means that we are transparent. We acknowledge our flaws and we celebrate our strengths. We are responsible and accountable for the revitalization and refocus so that DKG is vital, relevant, and certainly sustainable going forward. 2029 will be a completely different DKG, and each of us will be taking our responsibility of being a member seriously, and collectively, we will turn this around. Because like so many other places, we are unique in a way that members join our organization at the chapter level. So while our boards quite appropriately do everything they can to ensure our organization moves forward and operates in the most efficient way possible, our future actually lies in your hands. So stewardship isn't about just leadership or just one of us. It is the responsibility of all of us. We may not all look alike or talk alike. Some of us teach little children, some of us teenagers, some of us college students, some of us adults. Some of us teach math, language, or history, some banking or medicine, or perhaps you're the curator at an art museum. Some of us are retiring, and I hope more of us are just beginning our careers. But we are all members of this great organization called DKG. And we all, I hope, love this organization enough to want it to survive. I want DKG to continue to grow into the future for the benefit of my colleagues who follow me, and to ensure the future of the profession that I love and believe in, and for the future of my children, my grandchildren, and their children. And I believe this organization can change the world. And I'm asking our members, do you believe that we can change the world and impact the world? I do. Well, obviously, Dr. Annie Webb Blanton believed that we could, and so did the other women who joined her in 1929 to begin this great organization, because they set out to change how the world viewed women and to improve the culture of education at that time. We sometimes look a little bit like a social organization because of the way we were organized. You know the story. Back in that day, in 1929, it was unacceptable to be anything else. But these women and this organization was about something very, very different. They wanted to make a difference. They were agents of change. They were mavericks in their time. They did what it took to not only survive, but to create a new environment that was far ahead of their times. They were looking way down the road to a day when women would become the leaders they knew we could be. They knew that together we could do so much more. Together we would be strong and the world would have to take notice. They were not afraid to dream large for a better life with privileges and opportunities for women. And our society has done just that for tens of thousands of women. And like them, we must be forward moving ever. So let's go back to the data, and we know the truth. The truth is this: if we continue to lose membership at the current rate, this organization may not survive. It is an incredibly uncomfortable thought, but we have to face the truth. Because you see, it is my job, and it's your job, and it's all of our jobs to be very, very concerned about the sustainability of our organization. We must be concerned fiscally and financially what will happen. And we're concerned about the effect membership loss may have on our budget, and it's our responsibility to be honest about that. But one of the things that I have listened and heard so much this past summer, it's not just the loss of membership financially and fiscally. The membership loss is hurting the impact we have in the world. and in the education profession and on behalf of those who educate and those who learn. From 1991 to today, we have lost 100,000 members. Of course, those dues payments and the financial aspect of that concern me. But more importantly, we lost what 100,000 women could do for education, educators, and most importantly, our children. It is the nurturing of that many more young women joining the profession and growing that many more women into the outstanding educators they were meant to be. Who better to grow great teachers to build up our profession than DKG? We're the natural ones. So to circle back to my story, I'm a totally different person today, and it's only been 24 years. As a result of DKG, membership has been a life-changing experience. My only regret that I wasn't asked sooner, but I was asked, and that's all that's important. So how are you different today as a result of DKG? Are you glad for your membership experience? And let me ask you this, what if DKG had not survived long enough for you to have this opportunity? How would our lives be different if DKG ceased to exist tomorrow? Yes, these are tough questions because it's a possibility. So you might be asking now, pardon me, and maybe even feeling a bit overwhelmed. Wait a minute, the DKG I love is in trouble? How can I, only one person, help? And this sounds like a job way too big for me. Well, first of all, it starts with just one, and it starts with every one of us. And the load might seem heavy, but if each of us were committed and it all becomes all of us encompassing and enveloping the problem and coming up with the solutions. This summer, we heard a lot of things such, we're unstoppable. We've got this. We're going to do this. So are you up to a math problem? We're 53,000 members strong. If each one of us would commit to bring just one member into our fold and wrap our arms around her to grow her into that outstanding leading woman educator she is destined to be, then we would be 106,000 members strong by next year. And then if each one of us would commit again to bring just one new member into our fold and wrap our arms around her to grow her into the outstanding leading women educator she's destined to be, then we would be over 212,000 strong by the year after that. And you can do the math and you know where I'm going. We would then be unstoppable. While the data may look formidable, one is certainly doable. Don't you think? Seriously? One? So after the induction of all those new members, and just a reminder that your chapter is now doubling in membership each year, what then? In talking to many of you this past year, I hear what you're saying. You induct new members and they don't stay, or they simply don't seem interested when you ask. So many members are talking about the need for change, from new ways of conducting business to the change in our name. And though times will change, I believe we need to possibly move with the times. And the core of who we are as an organization does not really have to change. We are just as relevant today as we were in 1929. And in fact, I think sometimes we've lost the sight of why we were founded. And I think we fail to realize just how relevant we still are because of just how little times have changed, actually changed for women in our profession. So what do you think these brave and progressive women who were our founders, what do you think they do? Wonder what Annie Webb Blanton would do next. I'm pretty sure our founders would be happy about the fact that we don't look like them, we don't dress like them, or even do those things in the same old way. I believe they would hope we would have moved forward a bit. I believe they would be pushing us along to be different from them as we need to be. And I've asked members, do you wear your hair in the same style as you did 20, 30, even 40 years ago? I'm almost certain not. Do you use the same phone? I know that's definitely a not. Or do you drive the same car? So tell me this, why are we so welcome to change with these kinds of things, but we're so resistant to change our practices in DKG? This work is going to focus on communicating differently than we have in the past. It most definitely requires a reevaluation of what our programs offer and identify what our member value is. Our founders would certainly encourage us to tell our story, shouting it from the mountaintop and every other way that we can find. That Annie Webb Blanton, that whole story of our organization founding, ladies, those kinds of stories of inspiration, motivation, perseverance resonate with our younger members and our members of today. Those women did things that were almost undreamable in 1929. They rolled up their sleeves. They said to each other, let's pack our bags. Let's get in that car. And now they're saying to us, okay, you get in your car, you drive across the state. You can also jump on TikTok. You can get on Twitter. You can get on Facebook, things that they never, ever even thought would be possible for our world. Remember that our organization grew from 12 to 10,000 members in less than 10 years, and there wasn't internet, phone, or postal service. So I ask you, what did Annie Webb Blanton do that we can replicate? Wouldn't that make a great workshop at a convention or a conference? I think it would. Take a look at what she did in 1929 and what can we do in 2024. I said earlier, remember, we are all stewards of DKG Society International. We're transparent. We acknowledge our flaws and we celebrate our strengths, but we are responsible and accountable for the revitalization and refocus so that DKG is vital, relevant, and certainly sustainable going forward. For some members who struggle with letting go of that sorority image of our organization, change is needed. All too often, we talk about wearing the pin over our heart, making sure you have your badge on straight or otherwise. You make sure that you wear attire that is DKG exclusive. That is all fine and good, but it is not what we are about, and it is not who we are. Our mission and purposes are still very relevant, but our dated practices are not. And frankly, they are a complete and total turnoff for many. 2029 promises to be a completely different DKG. Each of us will take that responsibility of being a member seriously, and collectively, we're going to turn it around. We will plan our programs and meetings with relevant information, updates of current educational trends, and topics which are pertinent to women, children, and education. And on a final note, let's talk about the importance of attending conventions and conferences. We had several icebreakers this past year to talk about all those expenses. And I'm painfully aware how expensive it is to attend. And I can assure you the society does not have these meetings as a means of raising money. We hope they break even, but sadly, they do not. Members have expressed interest in holding these meetings at local universities and colleges. Nita Scott, our executive director, has looked into this, but I want you to imagine the amount of walking that may occur, sleeping in dorm rooms, taking your shower down the hall, just to name a few concerns I have. On the other hand, many members are now looking for experiences when coming to a conference or a convention. For example, members love New York, Nashville, and other destinations. And you know the costs of these large meetings have several factors to be considered: food and beverage and room rental. Both have plus attached to the initial costs. Plus is the local tax rate and then service charge on that amount. Speaker fees come out of registration fees and society budget, not food and beverage and not room rental. In New Orleans, the food and beverage was $225,000. But did you know that without the rental space that we used, that would have been $585,000? And another thing to consider, in New Orleans, the second line parade was tied to room nights booked, which we did not meet because many of our members decided to book Airbnbs, which did not contribute to our block. But when the Visit New Orleans chair heard that his organization, when the Visit New Orleans chair heard that we could not afford and could not have that event, he offered to pay for it. And you know why? Because it was a relationship between DKG and New Orleans planning that this was able to occur. And sometimes when we attend these conferences and conventions, you go to pay a hotel rate, it's several $100s more, and that's called a rack rate. So no matter what, it's expensive to do this, but they're worthwhile to support our organization. Conferences promote personal and professional development with workshops and other presentations. Conventions are where we have our society business, and that's mean it is every 2 years. Your voice is heard because you are voting on proposed amendments that impact each one of us. Your attendance at the convention is critical because right now, according to the governing documents,
Want me to go somewhere else?
members can vote on amendments. It is critical that your voices are heard.
Are you watching this right now? Is there a game on?
Please consider attending the 2024 convention at National Harbor in Maryland. Our 2 keynote speakers are
Supposed to
Mark
rain
Shirley,
at
who wrote the
10
book
o'clock.
Figures, and Andre Branford, a slam poet who speaks with emphasis on empathy. Workshop proposal forms will be coming out, I believe, as soon as Monday. So I encourage you to apply to present. Our next conference will be in New Orleans in July 2025. And earlier I told you we had a pretty significant loss at that 2022 convention. Rather than pay that $225,000 loss, Nita Scott was able to negotiate a substantial reduction in that cost if this organization would return in 2025. So not only was the loss reduced, but the food and beverage minimum is less and the room rate is better. And in addition, after listening to member concerns about separate conference and state organization leadership training, the administrative board voted to keep both in the same week. So it's a win-win for everyone. So you are the first ones to know the dates for that event. Mark your calendar, July 29 to August 3rd, 2025. That will be the next international conference and state organization leader training in New Orleans, July 29 to August 3rd. So in closing, I love this organization with all my heart. It has shaped me into the person I am today. And I hope that you will continue on this journey with me. You matter and I matter. But you know what? We all matter because without you, there would be no DKG. And I am so appreciative of you for allowing me to share my thoughts today. You know, you can call me, contact me anytime, questions, concerns, problems, or if you just want to talk. Goodness knows I love to talk. My email is debbiel@dkg.org, or please note my cell phone is 630-247-2060. You are welcome to call me, text me anytime. I'm here for you. And again, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. And I apologize for some of the background noise. You can see some things are being happening here. So if there's any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you if you so desire, but I will turn the meeting back over to your leadership.
I have a quick question for the audience. Were you able to see Daphne? No, were you able to see, I'm sorry, the speaker on your screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, the spotlight worked.
Okay, good. Okay. Well, thank you all. It's been a pleasure to meet with you. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your meeting and a great day and a good weekend. And I look forward to reading some of your proposals for workshops. And I look forward to our really magnificent work that we're going to be doing with Avenue M and all the members of our society. So thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate your introduction to our work today on membership. And the things that you spoke about are things that I know are near and dear to my heart. And I know that these women are here because it's near and dear to theirs.
You're very welcome. Very, very welcome. Thank you again. Take good care.
Okay, bye,
everybody.
Debbie.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Debbie.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, do you want to move to the next slide, Grace? So we want to do some quick introductions. And first, I'd like to introduce Darlene, our state president. and ask her to just give us a couple of words about what her view, her vision for membership in this biennium are.
Oh, hi, everyone. Welcome for coming. And I don't have a prepared speech, but I just want to thank all of you for your interest in membership. As you know, Oregon is suffering. We've gone down from over 50 chapters to 15 in just a matter of a few years. We can't sustain those kind of losses. So I appreciate Debbie's being with us today, and I appreciate all of you working on what we hope to be a really good membership plan for this year. We need to keep our name out there. We need to keep our work going in order to, as Debbie says, to make our society relevant, vital, and sustainable in the state. Again, thank you, and I look forward to working with all of you in this coming biennium.
Thank you, Darlene. And the next person I'd like to introduce is Daphne. Daphne is mentoring me, which I am really grateful for, on membership, because she has been highly active in California in their growth, and also she's active at the international level. Daphne?
Yes, well, thank you, Oregon. I have a lot of friends in Oregon and I loved coming to your convention, and I really thank you for having me today. And like Debbie said, we together can do this, and we're setting a course of a plan of how this can be accomplished for the good of education and for Oregon. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, Daphne. I appreciate it. Okay, Grace, would you like to go to the next slide? Okay, so for the next couple of minutes, I'd like you to take 1 minute first and look at this and think about it. And then I just want everybody to kind of share out some of the things. So talk about your glows and grows. So your glows are the positive experiences or things that you're proud of. Grows are things that you think could be improved upon. For example, my glow is that my chapter recruited 3 new members last year. My grow is that my chapter could have mentored those new members to ensure their retention. So if you can give yourself 1 minute to think about that, and then we'll have a share out of anyone who wants to share what their glows and grows are for their chapter.
Question, Linda McCoy. What chapter and district are you in? Just hit the space bar to unmute yourself.
Okay, who would like to share out a grow and a glow?
Wendy, may I share one for state level before you
Of
start on
course.
chapter? Okay. In 2021, my glow is that our state organization hosted a very successful international conference in Portland. Our members worked very hard to make sure that it was successful, and we had between 50 and 60 members attend that conference. My grow is that we would continue with that, and that we would have our members active at all levels of the organization, the chapter, the state, and the international. So continue to grow.
Thank you, Darlene. Do we have another grow and glow?
Kathy Martell. We're Alpha Epsilon, and we're excited because this summer I'm excited, 2 people contact me as far as membership. One was a teacher at middle school, and she heard about DKG through a friend in Washington, and that friend said, you need to join DKG. And she contacted me, and we're still in the process of figuring out when we can induct her. And I know that's not necessary these days, but I feel it is. So we're going to have an induction ceremony. Plus, we have two others. The other person that contacted me just finished her first education class at Shemeketa and has been volunteering in her grandmother's, that's how old I am, grandmother's classroom at Yoshikai School. And I met with her, and she's so excited, and she doesn't qualify to be a collegiate member yet, but we're going, we've welcomed her, and she's welcome to come to anything and ask for help or whatever she wants to do. So that's my glow. My grow, I am concerned because the presidents our co-presidents are doing all the looking for new members, and we're finding them, but we're not getting any input from the people who are still working as to who we should be asking. We just happen to be falling in with these people who want, and we're asking as we're going out and supporting the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, because there's other people out there, teachers who are volunteering for something else there, and we're growing that way. So that's mine.
Thank you, Kathy. I really appreciate your sharing. Do we have another Grow and Glow?
Priscilla from Lambda Chapter, District 3. And our last new member, well, actually, it was a retention. And I'm wondering if part of that needs to be that we do go back. This member had let her membership go because she was doing lots of care for a family member. And when her living situation changed, we said, hey, come on back. And I'm thinking there are other people like that we need to be aware of, those that have dropped, and renew the invitation.
Good points. One more Glow and Grow.
Lisa Van Brunt from Omega.
Can you move your camera down so we can see your face? Thank you.
I think that it sounds kind of like we're all in the same boat, but we were very fortunate to, in our glow, is that we had a returning member, which was a young mother who had a baby last year and had to step aside. And she let me know early on, right after the baby was born, I plan on returning in the fall. And she did. And she's already active, and we'll be having our next meeting in her classroom. And we actually had a success. Our glow is that, so that was our grow, but our glow is that we had an open house where Lynn and I personally invited some people that we'd kind of been working on for a couple of years or around us. And we both brought in 2 people to that meeting, and it was very successful. We had a lot of fun, and one brought another guest. And that guest signed up right then and there. She wrote her a check. I want to be a member. And so we potentially have 5 new members. That would be a record for us because we have been slowly losing people, and we maybe gain back 1 at a time. So I'm just so thankful that things are happening, but like you guys, kind of in odd ways.
That's awesome. Okay, Grace, would you move to the next slide? Okay, so we need to really take a look at what the how we can have more glows and what we need with our grows. And so to do that, we're going to go into our breakout rooms, and we're going to think about and discuss with each other what problems are needing to be addressed so that we can grow. And we have a document that I shared with you last night, and it's fillable. so that as you complete that, when it's all done, you'll have something to take back to your chapter and talk about what we've done here, and maybe even do this presentation with them and get their feedback on how your chapter can grow. And if you would like, I would be happy to come and help facilitate that. So the very first thing I'd like you to do is Grace is going to send you into a breakout room, and you're going to talk about the problems and that you've faced with recruiting, retaining, and revitalizing your chapter with members, and choose just one to come back and share, and also choose one person to do the share out when we return afterwards. There's 15 minutes for the breakout room, and Grace will give you a 2-minute warning, and then she'll pull you back into the main group.
Can I add something real quick?
Yes, please, Daphne.
Everybody, if you're not able to, the form is fillable, but if anybody's having trouble with that and they want to print out the form and then just fill it out by hand, I can tell you at the end how one could, take a picture and mail it in so that, you could have it on the computer. If anybody's having trouble with the technology piece, just print the form that arrived and take notes on the form, and then we can tell you how to upload that at the end if you do have trouble with the technology piece.
Okay. And are there any questions about what your task is when you go into the breakout room? Okay, Grace, I guess they're ready.
Okay, here you go. Wendy and Daphne, you're not assigned to a breakout room.
Can you assign us each, like I'll take 1 and 2, and Daphne, if you take 3 and 4, at least we can just pop in and see if there's any questions or concerns.
Yeah, I can only assign you into one at a time. So
Okay, so,
I'll go into 1 and Daphne into 3.
okay, perfect.
Okay.
Hey, Grace, thanks for all your tech work. I really appreciate it. You're muted. You're muted.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not done yet screwing things up.
Oh,
Um,
you're not going to. It's gonna be just fine.
I did not stop the recording, so we're gonna get 15 minutes of dead recording right now, which I should have stopped, or I can do it now, then I don't have as much to delete.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and stop it, that's fine. Do you want to move me, when you're done with that, you want to move me into room 2?